Episode 18, The Myth of Closure. The December series, Day 18, The Myth of Closure. You will never get closure from a narcissist. Not the kind you want, not the kind you deserve, not the kind that ties everything up neatly with a bow and lets you walk away in peace. And that is one of the hardest truths to accept. Because we are wired to seek resolution, to understand why, to make sense of what happened, to hear them say, "Yes, I hurt you. I see it now. I am sorry." But that moment will never come. Not because you did not earn it, but because the narcissist cannot give it. In The Matrix, Neo spends the first film searching for answers. What is the Matrix? Why am I here? What is real? And Morpheus tells him the truth. No one can be told what the Matrix is. You have to see it for yourself. The same applies to narcissistic abuse. You will not get the explanation you are looking for from the narcissist. You have to find it within yourself. In The Wizard of Oz, Dorothy spends the entire journey believing the wizard will send her home, that he will have the answers, that he will make everything make sense, that he will give her what she needs to move forward. But when she finally meets him, he has nothing. No magic, no solutions, no real power. And Glinda the Good Witch tells her the truth. You have always had the power to go home. You just had to learn it for yourself. This is the myth of closure. The belief that the narcissist holds the key to your healing. That if they would just explain, just admit, just acknowledge what they did, then you could finally move on. But closure does not come from them. It comes from you. Here is why you will never get closure from a narcissist. First, they do not see the relationship the way you do. You remember the lies, the manipulation, the cruelty. They remember a version where they were the victim, where you were too sensitive, too demanding, too difficult. In their mind, they did nothing wrong, or if they did, it was justified, because you pushed them, because you did not appreciate them, because you made them act that way. You are waiting for them to see the truth, but they are living in a completely different story. Second, admitting the truth would destroy their self-image. Narcissists build their entire identity on being special, superior, blameless, misunderstood. To admit they abused you would mean admitting they are not who they think they are. And that level of self-awareness is impossible for them, because their ego cannot survive it. So instead, they rewrite history. They gaslight. They deflect. They project. They make you the villain in their story, because that is easier than facing the truth. Third, giving you closure would mean losing control. As long as you are searching for answers, you are still connected to them, still thinking about them, still hoping they will change, still giving them power. But the moment you stop needing their explanation, you are free. And they know that, so they dangle closure like a carrot. They give you just enough to keep you hooked. A vague apology, a half-truth, a moment of vulnerability that feels real. But it never leads anywhere, because the goal is not resolution. The goal is to keep you engaged. Fourth, they do not have the emotional capacity for real closure. Closure requires empathy, the ability to sit with your pain, to acknowledge the harm they caused, to feel genuine remorse. Narcissists do not have that. They can mimic it, they can perform it, they can say the words, but there is no depth behind it, no real understanding, no real accountability, no real change. So even if they tried to give you closure, it would be hollow. A performance, not the real thing. Fifth, they benefit from your confusion. The more you question yourself, the less you trust your own reality. Did it really happen the way I remember? Was I overreacting? Maybe I am the problem. This is exactly what they want, because as long as you are doubting yourself, you are not holding them accountable. You are not walking away. You are not telling others the truth. You are not free. Your confusion is their protection. Sixth, closure is not a gift someone else gives you. It is a decision you make for yourself. You decide the relationship is over. You decide you have seen enough. You decide you do not need their version of events to validate your own. You close the door, not because they gave you permission, but because you gave yourself permission. In The Matrix, Neo does not get closure from Agent Smith. Smith never admits he was wrong. He never apologizes. He never explains why the system is the way it is. Instead, Neo stops asking. He stops waiting for the Matrix to make sense. He stops hoping the system will suddenly become fair. And he chooses to see the truth for himself. That is closure, not an explanation, but a decision. In The Wizard of Oz, Dorothy does not get closure from the wizard. He does not explain why he lied. He does not apologize for manipulating her. He does not give her what he promised. Instead, she realizes she never needed him in the first place. The power was always hers. She just had to believe it. That is closure, not validation from someone else, but recognition of your own strength. Psychologically, the need for closure is rooted in something called the Zeigarnik effect. This is the brain's tendency to remember unfinished tasks more than completed ones. When something is left unresolved, your mind keeps circling back to it, trying to make sense of it, trying to finish the story, trying to find the missing piece. This is why breakups with narcissists are so haunting, because nothing was ever resolved. No real conversation, no honest reckoning, no clear ending, just chaos, then silence, then maybe hoovering, then more chaos. Your brain is stuck in a loop, trying to close a story that was never meant to have an ending. But here is the key. You can create your own closure. You do not need their participation. Dr. Ramani Durvasula explains that closure in narcissistic relationships is an inside job. It is not about getting answers from them. It is about accepting that you will never get those answers, and choosing to move forward anyway. It is about writing your own ending, one where you are not the victim waiting for resolution, but the survivor who decided enough was enough. Spiritually, this mirrors the concept of letting go. In Philippians chapter 3, verse 13, Paul writes, "Forgetting what is behind and straining toward what is ahead, I press on toward the goal." Paul does not say, "I got closure from everyone who hurt me." He says, "I am letting go of what is behind," because closure is not about the past making sense. It is about the future being free. In Luke chapter 9, verse 62, Jesus says, "No one who puts a hand to the plow and looks back is fit for service in the kingdom of God." You cannot move forward while constantly looking back, waiting for the narcissist to explain, waiting for them to apologize, waiting for them to give you peace. You have to turn around, face forward, and walk. Here is how to create your own closure. First, accept that you will never fully understand. You will never know why they did what they did. Not really, because their reasons do not make sense. They are rooted in dysfunction, in brokenness, in a distorted view of reality. You cannot logic your way into understanding illogical behavior, so stop trying. Second, write your own ending. Literally, write a letter you will never send. Say everything you need to say. Ask every question. Express every emotion. And then, at the end, write the closure you wish you had received, the apology, the acknowledgement, the validation. Give yourself the words they never will, and then let it go. Burn the letter. Bury it. Delete it. Whatever feels right. The point is not to send it. The point is to release it. Third, stop waiting for them to change the narrative. They will not suddenly admit the truth. They will not wake up one day and say, "You were right, I was wrong." They will continue to tell their version of the story, and that is okay, because you do not need them to agree with your reality for it to be true. You know what happened. That is enough. Fourth, reclaim your story. The narcissist tried to write you as the villain, the crazy one, the difficult one, the one who ruined everything. But that is not your story. Your story is survival, strength, resilience, growth. Tell that story, to yourself, to people you trust, to others who need to hear it. Your story does not need the narcissist's approval. Fifth, focus on what you can control. You cannot control whether they ever understand. You cannot control whether they ever apologize. You cannot control whether they ever face consequences. But you can control your healing, your boundaries, your future, your peace. Pour your energy into that, not into waiting for something that will never come. Sixth, Give yourself permission to move on without answers. This is the hardest part, because it feels like giving up, like letting them win. But it is not. It is choosing yourself. It is saying, I do not need their closure to be free. I am closing this chapter myself, and I am walking into the next one. Here is the truth about closure. It is not a conversation. It is a choice. It is not something they give you. It is something you give yourself. It is not about the past making sense. It is about the future being yours. In The Matrix, Neo's closure does not come from defeating Agent Smith. It comes from realizing he does not need the Matrix's permission to be free. He just chooses freedom, and everything else follows. In The Wizard of Oz, Dorothy's closure does not come from the wizard's explanation. It comes from realizing she had the power all along. She just had to believe it, and click her heels. This is your moment. You do not need the narcissist to validate your pain. You do not need them to admit what they did. You do not need them to set you free. You already are. You just have to believe it and walk forward. Tomorrow, we will talk about identity death, how the narcissist replaces your personality with the version they need, and how you reclaim who you really are. Episode 18 complete. Ready for episode 19 whenever you are.